Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scooby Doo Review. I'm your host, Zerk, though you may know me better on YouTube as Zerk Monster Hunter 4. With me is my co-host, Pen. Say hello, Pen.
Hello, everybody.
Today on the Scooby Doo Review, we are continuing our watch-through of the 1976 first season of the Scooby Doo Show.
Today, we are going through A Frightened Hound Meets Demons Underground, A Bum Steer for Scooby, and A Demon Shark in the Foggy Dark.
Yep. These episode titles just keep getting worse.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just so much worse.
They're so beautiful.
Our story brings us first to the not in reality that is Seattle of this Scooby-Doo verse. So, without any further ado, let's begin our suffering by summarizing the story. Would you like to kick us off, Pen, for how this mess opens?
All right, so A Frightened Hound Meets Demons Underground. We start off at a construction site where several construction workers are obviously working on something when a demon apparates out of smoke and starts attacking them, leaving smoking handprints on the steel girders that they are using to construct whatever building they're building. We transition to, I think it's the gang. They're in a diner, I believe.
They're dining at the goddamn Space Needle.
Right. They are in the Space Needle because, as we know in Scooby-Doo canon, we have to be at the landmarks of the location so we can do anything. They're reading the newspaper about the demon attack, and Velma is saying that old Seattle, the Seattle that existed before 1860, burned down, and they built the new city on top of it.
Yeah. Detroit and Detroit Deluxe, if you've ever seen Motor City.
Detroit Deluxe.
Deluxe Detroit.
Yes, and so they decided to go to the Crenshaw Construction Company, which has been ransacked by these demons. Mr. Crenshaw's office is just torn to shreds. Demon handprints everywhere. It's all over when he says that the demons were likely looking for an amulet.
Yeah, and then he just fucking pulls it out.
Pulls out a magic amulet and goes on to explain that in the 1860s, there was an earthquake in Seattle which opened a gateway to hell.
Yeah, just fucking the earth cracked asunder. And as Mr. Crenshaw explains, a pair of red arms reached to the sky and demons and smoke poured from the fissure. Like fucking biblical Book of Revelations ass shit happened in Seattle.
And apparently these demons terrorized Seattle for years before, a wandering wizard came to defeat them with the magic amulet and send them back into hell, which was then secured by a giant steel hatch in the ground.
Yeah, just like a big valve.
Now, of course, this is and then, of course, Seattle burns down. So they built the new Seattle on top of the gateway to hell. Scooby Doo plot, ladies and gentlemen. And everything else in between and outside.
This is going somewhere. I swear to God, it's going somewhere. So the gang is thinking, well, this is cool. We need to go find a way to get to the demons. And Mr. Crenshaw says, well, they've been seeing demons around the docks near the coast. So they go to the fucking docks.
They go to the docks and they find... Oh, yeah, they go to the docks and then Scooby has a stand battle.
Yeah, Scooby has a stand battle with a rat the size of a cat.
Yeah. And the rat has shadow manipulation, so he and Scooby's shadows fight, and Scooby's shadow loses, so he grabs it and runs off.
Yeah. This rat is a stronger stand user than Scooby.
He's on the power scale, by the way, that rat. He's there. He's not going to be very good, but he's there. He'll get stomped like anybody.
Volkner comes in, just fucking fries his ass.
Listen, Volkner, we have to continue.
So they go to like this
Oh, they find a matchbook. That's why they find a matchbook in Crenshaw's office that leads them to a hotel by the docks, an inn by the docks.
Yeah, and they meet this like sea lass whose name's like Sally, and her like friend Albert Tross.
Albert Tross, yes.
He's just oh my god. And Albert is like he says there's demons in the fog, and then the gang is like, oh well, let's go find them. So they kind of bum around, run into the demon, and then they need to try and figure out a way to go to the underground city after Albert Tross vanishes.
I think we're getting some details wrong, but that's okay.
And they go into so this is very important. They go into the basement of the hotel,
which is by the docks. By the docks.
There's a door in the basement of the hotel that leads down into the old city. So you have Seattle, the docks, the old city.
The old city's under here.
Under the docks.
Under the docks.
Assumedly in caves below sea level.
Yes.
Now, the gang progresses through the underground city where they have some encounters with the demons. Yeah. They end up in an old mercantile where they knock over some chemicals which create fog similar to what the demons are creating.
Yes, they can do smoke stuff. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah. They encounter the demons and Daphne gets kidnapped and the gang splits up to go find Daphne. Fred goes with Velma and Shaggy and Scooby go into an old museum / saloon, I think. Yeah. And we get a gag with the player piano, and then eventually they find Daphne inside. Yeah.
And at this point, she's making muffled sounds, but then she just says, "Hey, it's me, Daphne." So why she's not like she doesn't have a gag on or anything. She's just making
they just did one of these. So anyways, Shaggy and Scooby rescue Daphne, and the gang convenes into the museum's gallery of spooky creatures where they find wax statues of Wolfman, the Mummy, a witch, like a bunch of classic Scooby-Doo monsters, basically. And then the demon exhibit where actually one of the demons is missing. So the gang postulates that maybe instead of coming out of the portal to hell, which they found earlier was still closed, that maybe one of the demon statues came to life. But again, that's operating on Scooby-Doo paranormal logic rather than Scooby-Doo usual logic, where man is the monster. But God, this episode is so complex.
It's so good, though.
Yeah. So then, as they're kind of continually looking around the city for more clues, they find that 2 more demons attack them, and then they have to flee, and they end up in a cable car station. And here's where it gets to be a bit of a problem. Because not only is this underground cable car station, assumedly from the late 1800s, still operational, the tunnels of this cable car's turnstile in this thing that is in a cave below sea level, below the docks, spit them out in a hill in central Seattle. So how does this work? How does this work?
We haven't even gotten to the part where Fred opens the gateway to hell.
Yeah, and that happens in this episode.
Fred opens the actual gateway, the hatch in the ground. So this hatch exists. The legend must be true, because otherwise, why the fuck is there just a hatch in the ground that goes nowhere? Actually, it does go somewhere, but it makes even less sense.
Oh, God. So Scooby and Shaggy get in one of the rail cars where it has a bunch of U.S. mail in it, so they commit some mail fraud here, so we add that to the petty crime. And they get chased by the demon who's also in the rail car, and again, it spits them out in a hill in the middle of Seattle that they fall down all the way back to the docks.
Yes. All the way back.
Just
and then
so the chase ends with Scooby, and this is actually a good gag. I like this gag. Scooby and Shaggy end up in a warehouse with a bunch of film equipment on the docks, where they con the demon into thinking it's on a movie set, and they use that as their getaway. And then they end up in a big vat of fish, and these look like turpin, except these turpin are big enough that Scooby and Shaggy can fit inside them.
Yeah.
Those are some big fucking ass turpin.
Look, I am certain that Seattle has been tainted by demon magic, and it's all fucked. Seattle is hell. You don't know where you're going in Seattle.
Seattle's been dragged into fucking Avernus by Baphomet.
Okay, to set up the final showdown, they set up the statues from the old weird museum on the cable car system to fuck with the monster, basically.
Yeah.
So because he's scared of the funny moving statues. So of course Fred does it. He pulls all the levers and sends him towards the hatch, where he of course goes back down into the hatch. The gang follows. You know where that fucking hatch goes?
Yeah,
it goes to the fucking basement of that inn. So let's
go back to our geography of Seattle here. We have the Space Needle here, which I'm going to say is central Seattle.
Yeah.
We have the docks. Below the docks, directly below, is the old city. Uh-huh. Somewhere in the old city, there's the cable car station, which leads back up into central Seattle and goes downhill.
Yes.
In the central city, near the cable car station, is the hatch. The hatch has stairs in it.
That go down.
There's
no way
that
it goes
bring
back.
The gang backs up into the docks. They go down to go up back to where they came from, because it's shown that they get in this way and then they go down and they end up back there. What the fuck?
Look, Seattle is a Gordian knot in time and space due to the elder wizardry of what we assume to be Eboneser Crab.
The real Eboneser Crab.
The real Eboneser Crab. So this is a callback to the first episode of the Scooby Doo Show, because the timeline actually somehow flipping works. All right.
Yeah.
Daphne remarks that Eboneser Crab must at least be 110 years old in that episode.
At least.
And they say that it's the 1860s where the demons rise out of the Seattle Hell Gorge. Presumably, it's a few years later, perhaps 1876 or 1866, that Eboneser Crab comes to visit and seals the demons away using his magic.
The demons even ravaged Seattle for years, too, so we could assume that the demons ravaged all the way into the 1890s.
Absolutely, we could totally assume that. So, Eboneser Crab, like this is 1976. 110 years before 1976 is 1866. This timeline works, ladies and gentlemen.
And since it's at least, and there's room for the demons to have ravaged for a ton of years, it absolutely could have been Eboneser Crab. Because not only is the timeline have enough gray area that this can work, they also use the phrase that the wizard and the talisman used was not holy magic, but black magic. And that is exactly what Eboneser Crab practiced in the first episode. So, as far as we're concerned, the only explanation is that we have a canonical wizard earlier on in the series. So clearly this must be the same wizard.
Eboneser Crab has been wandering the United States, probably sealing away magic for years, man. Years. Prolonging his lifespan with said magic. Like, I'm excited to see if we can connect anything else later on in the Scooby Doo Show to Eboneser Crab, because I have a feeling we will be able to.
I have a feeling we will as well. So let's now consider that after the gang goes down to go up, we finally get to the last bit of the episode where they find Albert Tross in the non-Euclidean basement.
Yeah.
Of Seattle's fucking reality knot.
Mm-hmm.
And they pick into his sea chest, realize it's full of the stolen money from the Crenshaw construction place.
Yeah.
They chase Albert Tross, realize that Albert Tross is actually Sam Crenshaw, who's been using the demons as a scheme to run away with all the construction budget and keep it for himself.
Which is what?
Like it's like everything wraps up really nicely in this episode, but there's no clear motive for why Sam Crenshaw does any of this.
It doesn't even really make much sense at all. He just invented like you would think if it doesn't make any sense, and he still has that fucking talisman.
Yeah, so some part of this must be real.
Some part of this has to be real, because if he has that talisman, maybe he was just searching for the portal to hell, right? He knows where the hatch is.
And the fact that the hatch goes down and then it goes up is just like, this is some SCP shit.
Yes, it's un-Seattle. And I can't explain this any better because it's just madness.
No, I'm dead serious. You go watch the episode.
Go watch it. It's great. It's one of the good episodes.
And I will guarantee you, all of this shit that we're yelling about, except for maybe the Ebenezer Crab connection, like, we are not making any of this up. This is stuff that literally happens in this goddamn episode.
Oh, also, a cable car snaps in two because Shaggy throws a rope over a fire hydrant. It just snaps in two. And they caused a lot of damage in this episode.
Yeah, a lot of property damage.
I'll add another one to the petty crime list, bringing us to 7.
All right. So, with that being said, Penn, I think that was a pretty good episode.
Oh, that was a great episode.
Regardless of how insane it was.
Yeah.
On an actual mechanical level, I actually do like this episode because, as we described in our last episode covering this series, we mentioned that how a lot of these episodes fall into one of two categories, either actual mystery solving or just constant shenanigans.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like this episode and the next episode that we'll talk about, Demon Shark and the Foggy Dark, will save Bumsteer for Scooby for last because it sucks and it's terrible. Between this one and the next one we'll cover, strike a great balance between shenanigans and mystery solving that a lot of episodes of this series really don't. It's either all one or all the other.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And that's the platonic ideal that we're looking for. We're looking for good gags and a few good chases, and then some actual, like, here's a suspect, here's a sus, he's sus. Get out of my head.
Yeah. Overall, what did we give this episode, Penn?
Well, using the What's New scale that we invented, we're going to give this I think it's an insanity rating, which is an equivalent to our What's New What rating, which is equal to a 4, but we've added more weird ratings because this is completely nuts, but it's also a good episode. So yeah, it's worth an 8 for both of us.
Yeah. And overall, our best gag, I put I can't, and then you suggested the rat stand.
Yeah, that rat's on the power scale. Also, another thing that we've been noting, animals really hate Scooby. Like, they really hate him. The rats hate him. The lobsters hate him. The pet store things in the 10,000 volt episode hate them. Like, I don't know what's up with the animals in what's going on.
Yeah, for some reason, Scooby always picks a fight with some random critter, and I guess it's a running gag, but it's kind of inexplicable and constant. I wonder if it continues throughout the later seasons, we might have to profile it to some sort of cause. But
yes,
for now it's just a pattern we've noticed.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the other episode from this batch that we enjoyed. So the episode actual order is the demons, then Bumsteer for Scooby, and then Demon Shark and the Foggy Dark. But fucking Bumsteer for Scooby
is bad. It's real bad. Just go on to the Foggy Dark.
Yeah, let's talk about Demon Sharks.
Yeah, so, Demon Sharks.
This episode opens with a shot of an airplane carrying 2 members of the Indian Maharaja back in the 70s. And in the back is this big block of ice holding a man shark. They pull into the airport in some unnamed town. I think we're in...
It's Florida. They're in Florida.
I
They
think
didn't say where it was, but they did say that we're in Florida. That they were in Florida.
Okay, so we're in like fucking Tallahassee or some shit.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't give a specific name. It's just Florida.
Okay, so we're in Florida, so that's going to be a great sign.
Oh,
So,
God.
oh boy. They touch down in Florida, and the two things that are being brought are the demon shark for display at the aquarium, and a box of Indian pearls that are going to exhibition on the museum.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is they seal it in the customs building, but then the next day the pearls are robbed.
Yes,
and
they seal both the demon shark and the pearls in a customs building, locked under key. Yeah, nobody's getting in there. But then the next day,
the pearls are gone. And the gang hear about this on the radio because they're borrowing Velma's uncle's boat for some water skiing in Florida, as you do. And we actually get a shot from the opening, which is always fun. I remember whenever you see that, it's nice. And Phineas and Ferb specifically is another cartoon that actually drew a lot of attention to doing all the things in their opening salvo. But nevertheless, we get the opening scene where the shark bites at Scooby's water skis from the opening credits. And after that gag, the gang actually ends up running aground because of that. And they grapple up a cliff and end up in the aquarium trespassing. First off,
that's another one.
And they kind of bum around the aquarium for a bit and run into the demon shark.
Yeah. And the demon shark chases them.
Yeah.
And then they get flipped around by dolphins.
Yep. Yeah. It's actually kind of a neat little scene, actually. And a lot of the art direction in this episode is very moody and cool. I don't know. I'm just telling you what happens. Obviously, it's a slightly better experience watching it for yourself.
You should watch all of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Please feel free to watch along with us. I think it enhances what we're saying.
Our madness.
Yeah. So they then go, after escaping the demon shark and the dolphins, they see a light on at the management building, and they decide to go in. And what happens when they meet the manager, Penn?
Well, the manager tells them that his assistant has a book of Hindi necromancy, which, as you had previously said to me, is not good, since the Hindis believe, primarily in reincarnation. So necromancy, who a Hindi person must be a grave affront to their entire religion.
Yeah, this is one of the moments where the show really shows its age. That shit like that would just not fly today.
No.
And look, and watching back it as well, it even though I'm a white guy, clearly, I honestly it made me feel gross. I didn't like it. It's not.
This is to be noted that book was made up by a guy who's just trying to confuse people so that he can get away with his crimes.
Yeah, which makes the villain
he's a bad man.
More terrible.
Yeah, he's a bad man. Yeah, I would say that it's okay because it's literally the bad guy doing it. Yeah. He's not supposed to be a good person.
Still, the fact that it is a serious plot point does rub me.
Not even a real plot point. It's just fake.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's okay.
I just don't like it.
Anyway, he tells them that the demon shark has been revived by necromancy. At which point, crap, what happens next?
They go to meet the marine biologist, and he has the demon shark still on ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the whole time throughout the episode, the demon shark's dripping. They want to imply that it might come to life, but it never.
Wait a minute.
That Chekhov's gun never gets fired.
I'm just realizing that there's that one bit where he shows up in that tank, but he doesn't have scuba gear in the shark suit. Can he breathe water?
I don't think so. Anyways, they get told that the book of necromancy belonged to the night watchman.
Yeah.
So they kind of bum around to find him, and we find him, and he's just aggressively ominous.
Yeah. And, he tells the gang all about his hobby, about making cabinets with secret compartments, which is, I'm sure, viewers, you can understand that's a pretty big red flag. People don't usually make cabinets with secret compartments unless they have something to hide. Kind of in the name that it's a secret compartment. Why would you tell people about that?
Yeah, especially the people who are trying to solve the mystery and expose you for your pearl robbery, you
Wait
big
a minute.
dunce.
Yeah, and he's seen them before because he's been in the shark suit chasing them this whole time. Why would he? He's just dumb.
Stupid. You ruined your own plan, you moron.
Basically tells him to go look for that wacky spell book.
So the gang splits up and looks for clues because, of course, the gang has to split up and look for clues. That's what we do here on Scooby Doo. And they then go through the rest of the aquarium park, and some shenanigans ensue. Fred, Daphne, and Velma find a box of oysters, and they're thinking, why would an aquarium need to buy oysters? Whereas Scooby and Shaggy run into the demon shark, and it's at this point I should mention that the demon shark has a very specific sound bite that is very funny. It's kind of like a kind of yeah.
I'll see if I can find it, but no guarantees.
Not as good as the Gator Ghoul soundbite, but still pretty decent soundbite, I would say. And Scooby and Shaggy go into a revolving restaurant where first they steal all the pies, then a cookbook that says secret spells of gastronomy, because Scooby and Shaggy don't understand big words. And the demon shark sets the revolving restaurant into maximum overdrive.
That thing spins. Oh, it spins like a motherfucker. It goes.
It spins. They live in Spain without the A.
You say you hate those episode titles, Zach, but you. Wordplay is a sin, and
So, anyways, Scooby and Shaggy get flung out of the revolving restaurant, and they end up at the crab tank. It is time for Crab.
It is now time for Crab. The crabs are aggressive, and they want that book, God damn it. This is another one of those things where all of the animals hate them. They keep hating them. Only the dolphins were kind of okay because they threw them onto a trampoline instead of the cold, hard concrete. Those crabs are aggressive, and they are organized. They have oysters that they are just throwing at Scoob and Shag, who are wearing scuba gear and trying to rescue the secret spells of gastronomy, which by this point is probably completely ruined because it's been underwater for like a couple minutes. They just sort of tip over the rock that all of the crabs are on into a giant bag and then just go back up to the surface and deliver the ill-gotten gains to Velma, who then subsequently explains this is a cookbook.
And they describe this really, really gross spaghetti recipe.
You boil the spaghetti, add anchovies and onions, and then add anchovies, onions, and I think it was bolognese sauce. And then simmer that. You put that all together. You don't make the sauce. For boiling fish. Why?
Like, there's an idea there, but you executed it terribly.
Bad spaghetti.
Bad cursed spaghetti. We should make that one time and see how terrible it is.
No. Maybe. If the viewers want it, we'll do it. And I will film it and I will put it on the YouTube channel.
All right.
But that's only if you want it. Please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this. I don't have to buy anchovies. Oh, God.
Binging with Pen.
No. No. Oh, God.
Now, baby, I hear the blues are calling. Toss salad and scrambled
Get out of here.
eggs.
Get out of here, you weird song crazy person. Anyway, we should wrap this up.
Yeah. So the demon shark just walks up to Velma, who's holding the sack of oysters, and just fucking yanks it from her, and then just leaves.
Well, he sort of spills all the oysters on the ground, and then he points at the oysters like, and
Like he's a fucking chimp.
he wants the oysters. So then, of course, Fred sets up a trap involving a construction crane, some wire, and a dummy.
Good Lord, Fred. My God, if we give you access to explosives, you could topple like some like military dictatorships in a small country, my man.
As man, I like I'm looking forward to the next power scaling episode because I hope we get another Trapmeister like Alphonse.
So we can pit Fred against them again.
Yes, because it's super funny because they go through like months-long trench warfare. We need to wrap this up.
Yeah. We still have to talk about Bump Steer, and I don't want to do that.
We'll go through that quickly. Don't worry.
So anyways, the trap doesn't work at first, but eventually they get the demon shark in, and they put him through another spin cycle. And they get the sack of oysters, and they open up the oysters, and all the oysters have actually are just shells with the pearls that were stolen in them. And the demon shark is actually the cabinet maker / night watchman, and he stole the pearls by hiding in the base of the
demon shark
that the demon shark was propped up on in the same plane, so that when the two things were locked in the customs building, he got out of a secret compartment, stole the pearls, and then left the customs building, or got back in, and when he got back to Aqualand, he popped out again or something.
So then what happened after that is that since the police had set up roadblocks everywhere and they were checking everybody's luggage to make sure no one was smuggling the pearls out of there, he was trying to get the fresh oysters out of there. However, the manager of SeaWorld would not actually let him do that. So he decided to dress up as the demon shark to try to scare off the manager, steal his job, and then be able to authorize the oyster shipping himself, which is
my God, man, just steal a Finn's Fish Market truck and put the oysters in the back of that.
I mean, you've already committed like grand larceny, so whatever. You don't need to be a spooky man. Spooker. Yeah. Now, this isn't like a super amazing episode, but it was fun, and it was pretty good. There was a good mystery there. They had suspects and all this.
Yeah. And again, it's hard to do it justice with us describing it. But again, this episode, like the demon episode, strikes a good balance between shenanigans and stuff. Plus, the demon shark is, at least from what I remember, among the more iconic foes from this era of Scooby-Doo. So, Jaguaro. Dude, I can't wait for my man Jaguaro.
He's just going to get pummeled, man. He's just going to get pummeled in the power scale. You know it. You know it.
Well, we don't know that. For all we know, Jaguaro could be like a fucking airbender. It's been years since I've seen the Jaguaro episode.
You know,
it could happen.
That is true. We don't know. Anyway, we both gave it a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good episode.
It's a pretty decent episode.
Yeah. And Spin was the best gag. Spin was the best gag.
Yeah,
we will get to the bum steer. Okay? It's time to talk about the bum steer.
I don't really want to.
It's bad. It's a bad episode, guys.
It's
boring. It's just kind of lame. It has an offensive depiction of Native American people.
It's terrible. Don't watch it.
It's just boring. And like a lot of this shit is because the Scooby Gang can't. They have like a perception score of like 2 out of 20.
Yeah, it's just okay. So fucking here's what happens in this episode. The gang goes to Daphne's uncle's ranch. They see a flying ghost bull. More like bullshit, am I right, ladies? Kill me. And then they figure out that cows are going missing because of the bull. They meet the suspects, and then Shaggy and Daphne's uncle and Scooby go into town to go get the sheriff, but Daphne's uncle gets kidnapped out of the Jeep. Then they all get chased in their cars by the bull. And then there's an offensive stereotype in a cliff-dwelling encampment in Texas for some reason.
It's in Texas. Doesn't make any sense.
And then Daphne and Velma and Fred have like a walking cow skull that's like actually a gopher. But then there's a bull again. Then they meet an evil cowboy. Velma loses her glasses. Then they just kind of bum around in the ruins.
Yeah, they just kind of dick around. They find a helicopter that's the bull, so they just don't fucking notice that it has fucking helicopter blades on the flying ghost bull. They can't see anything. They got bad eyes. At least Velma has an excuse.
Yeah. And then fucking the only interesting thing that happens in this episode is Daphne has a skeleton follow her around for a bit, and Scooby and Shaggy piss off an actual goddamn Thunderbird.
Yeah, there's a Thunderbird in there. He's not going on the power scale, but all animals hate them. Actually, there's another one. The owl hoots at them. He doesn't like that they're there. This is weirdly specific. Why did this keep happening?
I don't know. And then it's revealed that the suspicious cowboy, the offensive stereotype, and a guy in a cow suit are trying to do a cattle rustling operation at all their neighboring farms. And they're using the bull helicopter to like scare off the other ranchers so that they can rustle. And what's stupid about this is fucking helicopters are expensive to run and operate.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you they spent more on that goddamn helicopter than they standed to profit from this cattle rustling thing.
Flipping cattle rustling. How profitable could it possibly be?
I don't think it is. Like, what are you going to do? Sell beef to the black market? Like, what the fuck, man?
It's black market beef. However, they did have one. I give this episode one thing. And that one thing is that they brand the cows with a symbol that like adds on to the previous owner's symbol so that it looks like the suspicious cowboy's cows.
Yeah.
I give it that one. That's all this episode gets.
Yeah, that's like an actually smart thing that I could see in a real crime.
That's a smart thing.
Everything else about this episode is just pain.
It's bad. It's a bad episode.
Fuck this episode.
Yeah, fuck this episode.
3 out of 10.
I gave it a 4, but I'm actually going to go down to 3. It's a bad episode.
Terrible. Skip it.
Yeah, skip that episode. It's just garbage. It literally doesn't keep your attention at all. They just dick around. There's no mystery at all.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Terrible.
Bad. All right. Well, that's the end of this.
Yeah. On a brighter note, scorecard.
Okay, so for once again, we have 2 appearances of Scooby Dum. It hasn't improved at all. For petty crime, we've added 3 to our previous 5 for 8 counts of petty crime. And well, I think that's it. So if you enjoy our podcast and would like to contact us, you can follow us on Twitter at do_review or email us at thescoobydoreview@gmail.com. And that's the episode, everybody. Thanks for listening. And remember, we wouldn't have a podcast without these meddling kids and their dumb dog. Come back next time for a football surprise.
John Madden.
Yeah. Yeah.